Okay, hi guys. I'm Fee, for those of you who don't know me. I'm a member of CrossFit Colchester as well as being the one who has longevity lifestyle. I'm a nutritionist, science teacher, and a mental health coordinator as well. So I'm going to talk to you about all those things. So nutrition, not so much the science teacher part, and mental health as well. Obviously, a lot of us have been away from the gym for a long period of time due to COVID. Some of us might be new to the gym. So we're going to just cover the fundamentals of our nutrition and mental health. So the reason being I wanted to talk to you about mental health, obviously, we take a lot of care and time for the physical side of things with going to the gym, but often mental health is a little bit forgotten. So I just want to make sure we're all aware of how to make sure our mental health is maintained or maybe improve it and stop us from falling into any negative spirals for mental health as well. So let's have a little look at the picture to start with. You've got lots of pillars that make up your health. So physical health, mental health, they are the main parts to health as a whole. If you break it down, we can look at things like sleep, relaxation, nutrition, water, and movement as being main pillars. Often we'll have different types of pillars. Maybe a different type of person might have something different as well. But these are the main pillars. Now, if one of these pillars is suffering in some way or isn't being given as much attention as the others, then our overall health might start to decline. So looking at the holistic kind of vision, all these things need to be worked on day in, day out to make sure our overall health is tip top. So breaking things down, we're going to start with nutrition. So with your foundations, what I mean by that is the basic things to your nutrition that you should be able to get into place. So looking at 3 meals a day and 2 snacks, obviously that's going to depend on the size and the activity of that person. But we're talking breakfast, lunch, dinner. Again, some people might tend to fast, so they might like to go a longer period of time without food. So they might only have 2 meals a day, or they might maybe have their 3 meals a day, but at different times to somebody else. And the snacks, hopefully something like fruit within that day as well. Whole food, so that's another foundation. Whole food, I mean things that would have maybe grown, flown, or come from the sea. So foods that they've not been processed in, or they've been processed as little as possible, not coming from packets. So lots and lots of vegetables, fresh produce, things like that. They should make up the bulk of your diet. And of course, variety. So when it comes to your foundations for your nutrition, you've got your 3 macronutrients: carbohydrates, protein, and fats. Now, we need to have a combination of all 3 in our diet. It will depend on your sort of personal goals and personal preferences as to how they might fluctuate in the amounts. So for example, if you're someone who expends a lot of energy, you might have a higher carbohydrate diet because you need the carbohydrates to keep you going. So with your variety, we need to make sure that we're not eating the same carbohydrates, fats, and protein every single day. We need to make sure we're having lots of different sources of carbohydrate and the other 2 macronutrients to make sure we're covering all of those different nutrients within the carbs, fats, and proteins. Now, that goes as well for your micronutrients. Your micronutrients are all of the vitamins and minerals that your body needs to be able to work effectively and as efficiently as possible. So micronutrients, so vegetables, fruits, all of your fresh produce like that, they're going to be the bulk of your micronutrients. So keeping big variety across that as well is super important. So if you're going to have, let's say, some chicken, some stir fry with some greens, some noodles, some peppers and things like that in, that's a great meal on its own, and you've got variety within there. But if you have that every single day, you're getting the same nutrients from that meal every day. Now, that means that you might be missing some certain vitamins and minerals that your body needs because you're having those same types of foods day in, day out. That's why variety is key. And if you can keep your plates as colourful as possible, then that means that you've got sort of as many antioxidants, vitamins, minerals coming from lots of different vegetables. So the more colour, the better. if we can keep it like that. And of course, aim for at least a third to a half of your plate to be fruit or vegetables. And that way, again, you know that you're getting as many nutrients in as possible and making up the rest of your plate with carbohydrates, fats and proteins. So things like your potatoes, rice would be carbohydrates, protein, your meats. You might have lentils, tofu, corn, things like that as well. So there's lots of things that you can be choosing from. Of course, if you need help with your meal ideas, please make sure you get in touch. I will give you some information after this so you can see where to contact me for a little bit more guidance. And then that last point there, 2 to 3 litres of water, depending on your size and sweat. If you're a really sweaty person, you obviously need to have a little bit more water. If you're a smaller person, you obviously don't need to have as much as Dave, who's 6 foot and sweats loads in a session or throughout the day. So the aim here with your water intake, you can simply just look at the colour of your urine. So you want it to be like a light straw colour. So a little bit of yellow in there, but it's really pale, not too dark at all. So like a strawberry colour would be the ideal colour. If you know it's a bit darker, maybe have a little bit more water. If you know it's really clear and doesn't have any colour, so it's a colourless urine, then maybe you're drinking a little bit too much. So you can just look at the colour of your urine there. Then we're going to have a look at your nutrition for your training. So it will change a little bit depending on the activity you're doing, how much, when, what type. There's lots of different factors. So your foundations for your nutrition, for your training, are carbohydrates pre and post workout. So that means, for example, if I'm going to do a class at 9:30 in the morning, I might want to have something before, so a breakfast that's going to contain some carbohydrates and probably a little bit of protein and fats as well. So it's a nice, varied, well-rounded meal. Carbohydrates are going to give me the energy. So it depends if you like to be training on a full stomach or not. So personally, for me, if I'm going to do a session in the morning, depending on what time or how early, I might just have a banana about half hour or 40 minutes before, or I might have some porridge with some nuts and seeds in it, but then I'll need a good hour and a half to 2 hours to be able to digest that so I can then train. So it's a little bit trial and error on your part to see what works best for you. And then again afterwards, depending on maybe how big the session was, how long it was, you'll definitely need some sort of carbohydrate after your session. And that's going to help you with your recovery as well, not just your energy. So, I mean, so let's say we take the 9:30 class again, you finish at 10:30, within sort of 2 hours, you might want to have a small meal to make sure you're refueling and allowing your body to recover properly. If you know you're not going to be able to get a meal because you're really busy or you're going straight to work or something like that, that's where a protein shake with some carbohydrates in it might be quite useful just for ease. But hopefully you'll be able to be nice and prepared and you can get some sort of meal in within a few hours after your training. Also, this will stop you from getting hangry, so hungry and angry as well. You will find sometimes if you go too long without food, your mood will drop and you'll feel fatigued as well. So you do want to make sure you've got a little something as a backup snack if you are really, really busy after your training to prevent that from happening. We've got increased protein. So if you are starting to do a little bit more training, you're going to be using your muscles a lot more, and we need them to be recovering efficiently, and possibly you might want a little bit of growth there as well. Now, if you want this, you're going to need to increase your protein. So all your sources, depending if you're vegetarian or not, or maybe vegan, you've got so many different things to choose from. You can make a big list of all the protein sources that you can think of, and then you can start picking out the ones that you might like. So obviously you've got all your meat, your eggs, your fish, your tofu, your lentils, your beans, your pulses. The list really is endless. Not to forget, your nuts and seeds as well. Your yogurts, cheeses, milks. There's sort of protein in everything, but obviously different foods will contain different amounts. So As your training increases, please make a conscious effort to increase your protein a little bit more as well. If you need guidance on the exact amounts, or you want guidance on the exact amounts of carbohydrates and protein, etc., please get in touch, and I can help you with those as well. As a real loose guidance though, with your protein intake, you can say, so if you're a 60 kilogram person, you may want your protein intake to be between sort of 1.8 to anything upwards of 2.8 grams per kilogram of body weight. So there's quite a big sort of variety there. And again, it's trial and error to see what you like. Increase water. Of course, the more you sweat, the more you need to drink. So please be aware of that. Always have a drink in your session as well. So a bottle of water to hand would be ideal. Again, keep an eye on the colour of your urine, so you make sure you're actually drinking enough, or you're not overhydrating as well, because you don't want either of those two to be happening. And a big influence at the end here, it says trial and error for the individual. So there's not one size fits all for this kind of stuff. You need to have a little play with different foods, your timings as well. So if you know you don't like training on a full stomach, maybe have a banana or something small but high carb pre-workout. But again, it'll come with time and working out what really suits you as an individual. So that is the foundations for nutrition for training, and nutrition sort of for day to day without that training there. Then swiftly moving on to your mental health. So mental health, super important. We need to be doing a lot more for our mental health. We go to the gym, we work on our physical health a lot, but possibly we neglect this side to our health a little bit. 2020, wow, what a year. So much has gone on, which may have impacted people's mental health. It may or may not have impacted you as an individual, but it's more than likely that it has, but maybe you're just not quite aware of it. So it's taking the time to really give yourself an overview of how your year's been, what might have affected you. Is there anything that you can do to sort of help to make sure that you're on the right path of maintaining good mental health, or even improving your mental health? So same storm, different boat. What I mean by that is especially COVID, quarantine, lockdown, that same situation has affected an abundant, or it's every single person. So it's affected everybody. That's the storm. However, everybody's boat is different. So it may not have affected every person in the same way. So depending on your living arrangements, your job, your friends, your family, where you live in the world as well, it's all gonna affect you differently. And I really want you to be aware. So of the people around you, your friendship groups, your families, you need to be aware of how they may have been affected as well as you. So for instance, some people may have really benefited in some way. So they might have had lots of time to create new businesses, do really well, reach out to lots of people, spend lots of time with their family, things like that. And their mental health might have actually been positively impacted by it. However, on the other end of the scale, you will have people who have lost loved ones. You will have people who have lost their jobs. They may have become redundant. They may have had to move out of their house. So there's really a massive scale of how the effect mentally could be on someone. So I really want you to just think about the people around you, and make sure you're having conversations, sharing things, and making that situation a little bit better for each and every one of you. We need to incorporate ways to maintain our mental health. So whether or not you kind of like it, we really need to have a big push on making sure we're doing things to maintain our mental health. Especially this year, I mean, I think everyone's had and felt the impact of it. And it's really time that we all put something into place day in, day out, just like we move, just like we get our 10,000 steps. So we need something like that we consciously know, right, yeah, I've ticked that box for my mental health today. And we'll go through some different ways that you can do that as well in just a minute. So mental health credit rather than debt. Again, just like our physical health, we go to the gym, we want to be fit for everything in life, I hope. Mental health, the same thing. We want our mental health to be as good as it possibly can. We want to be in credit rather than debt. So we want to be up here rather than down here, always in that credit for your mental health. Now, credit, we've got different words that I'm going to go through. So the C for credit, you need to commit to the fact that you need to be looking at your mental health just like we do our physical health. And we really need to be making sure that we're incorporating things into our everyday lives. So commit to working on your mental health. We need to be able to recognize any kind of situation that you might think, you know what, that might have a negative impact. So becoming more aware of what might impact your mental health, and then possibly starting to change how we deal with those situations. So recognizing, experimenting. So I know a lot of people that are like, oh, I don't really know what to do, or like how can I maintain or improve my mental health? Where do I even start? So you do need to experiment. So for some people, it might be going for a walk. For some, it might be listen to a podcast. For some, it might be reading every day. For some, it might be cleaning and just having alone time. There's lots of different things. For some, it might be journaling. So writing your thoughts down, having 5-10 minutes at the end of the day just to write all your feelings and thoughts down. Experimenting, what else? So some people, they don't particularly like talking to one another. They don't find that helpful. So they might voice note or leave like a message on the phone. So they're just using somebody as a soundboard to get everything out and off their chest, but they're not necessarily wanting replies, questions answered, things like that. They just need to sort of release everything, because that'll make them feel better. And essentially that is helping your mentality. So you do need to experiment with the different ways that you think might benefit you. Develop. So you then need to develop that, utilize it. So if it is, for instance, if it's walking, and you know that's a real good sort of way that you can look after yourself, gives you your own space and your own time, develop that. Make sure you give yourself time to go for a walk every day. So develop whatever it is that helps you maintain or improve your mental health. Identify. So once you've been able to do those 4 things, hopefully then you'll be at the stage where you can actually identify exactly what it might be that will trigger you. And then you can sort of alter your behavior and avoid those certain situations. So for instance, if you know that when you've had a really busy week, you struggle on a Friday, you struggle to sleep, you feel really anxious because you've been so busy throughout the week, you've identified that that's the issue, you need to then create your ways to do something about that. So you need to really think about, what is it that causes me to feel anxious, to feel stressed, and then we can start implementing different things to be able to change that. And then lastly is talking. So like I said, some people, they're not fans of talking to one another. So things like voice notes works really well. Journaling, writing down, even like I said about the walking and just going through things, possibly walking with other people and listening to other people, asking people how their day's been, just generally talking, having more and more conversations about how people are, but actually how they are, not just a quick, hey, how are you? But genuinely asking people how they are. So credit, you want to be a mental health credit, and they are sort of my top tips with how to maintain or improve your mental health. Again, super happy to talk about these. Or if you want any help developing them, then please give me a shout. And then finally, so this little bit about mental health, just the takeaways, I guess. These could be your foundations to mental health. We've talked about foundations for nutrition. So your foundations for your mental health. So your self-care and the health pillars that I talked about at the beginning, they will incorporate mental health as well. So you need to make sure your mental health pillar is kept and it is nice and sturdy, because as soon as that starts to keel over, obviously your overall health will start to decline as well. So self-care and looking after yourself, making sure you're taking the time to implement something like we've discussed already. So there's some ideas. Again, more often than not, others will be struggling too. If you're struggling in this particular situation, it is more often than not, then your friends around you are definitely going to be struggling as well, especially because they're the ones that you're going to be spending a lot of time with. They might be having the same thought processes as you because they are your close friends. So because you have lots of things in common, it's very likely that they're going to be thinking similarly and possibly having the same struggles. So we need to be open, and we need to be able to become slightly more vulnerable with one another, and develop our relationships with one another as well, to make sure we're looking after each other. And with that comes being less critical as well. So having open conversations, be less critical of yourself by opening up freely and not being critical of that, and be less critical of other people as they open up, and you have these conversations as well. And of course, the last one is be kind. So essentially with mental health, everything starts with kindness. And if that was one thing that we could all do, it will have a massive ripple effect, and it will help so many other people that you would never even believe. You never know what somebody else is thinking, what somebody else is going through. So a simple act of kindness could change someone's day, week, month, year. Those little simple things are really, really important. So kindness, just being more kind, even if it's being polite, asking people how they are, opening doors, just little things will always be appreciated by everybody. So that's a little insight into improving or maintaining mental health, improving and maintaining your nutrition as well, and within your training too. Now, if you would like to get in touch with me, so I'm Fee. Longevity Lifestyle is my business. So it's all about health, nutrition, wellness. You can email me, you can Facebook me, you can Instagram me. I've also got a nutrition package that we'll be doing with the gym, with CrossFit Colchester, which is available to buy on the CrossFit Colchester shop. So the nutrition package itself, you will be doing a 4 or 5 day food diary analysis for me. I'll go through your whole 4 days of habits, nutrition, and sort of how you live your day-to-day life. I'll give you some tweaks to it, explain the whys behind them as well. And then I'll give you a document with nutrition information, all about your macronutrients, your micronutrients. You'll get a personalized calorie day as well. So you'll get a day with all your meals on, snacks on, and it shows you the types of foods you could be eating to fit your calories, and to maintain that variety. You also get a document which includes loads of different meals, especially if you're a busy person. There are lots of easy go-to meals that you can implement into your life, and it also has examples of what to have on your shopping list as well, what to have in your cupboards and your fridges at all times. And as well as that, you get a little bonus document for being at CrossFit Colchester, which is all about the 10 non-negotiables for training, health and performance within the gym. So there's lots that you'll get, and if you could pop onto CrossFit Colchester shop part of their website, and you'll be able to get that, you'll be put in touch with me straight away and we will get cracking. So thank you very much for listening. Any questions, throw them my way, guys. My details are on the screen. Thank you.